Good afternoon, everyone. You are watching Legal Lounge with Adil Farooq. Today's topic is a little bit different because I got few calls from a few of my friends and my clients, and all of them asked me a very specific question, and I thought that let me discuss this thing in my upcoming session. And this is relating to a question about the first-time home buyers in the real estate transactions. So before I start, as a standard disclaimer, that this information session is for information purposes only. If you have any specific question or specific task for relating to your real estate matters, I will always suggest to talk to your lawyer or talk to any legal profession who can look into your circumstances and give you proper advice according to your circumstances. So don't take this information session as an legal advice. So there are a lot of confusion in the first-time home buyers. So I will try to create some examples, and I will try to give some input on the incentives which a first-time home buyer can get when he or she is buying a real estate property. So I will start with a very specific question which I got from, as I told you, from my client, that what are the financial advantages a first-time home buyer can get when he is buying his first house in Ontario. So first of all, I will be very specific relating to the properties buying and selling in Ontario only. I am not talking about in general for in whole Canada. So first-time home buyer, they can, if someone has never bought a property and they are Canadian citizen or permanent resident and they have plans to live in that specific property as their principal place of residence on the date of closing or within next 9 months from the date of purchase, if they have plans to start living in this house as a principal place of residence, they can get a land transfer tax rebate for maximum of $4,000. For example, if husband and wife are buying a property together and both of them are first-time home buyers, yes, they will get a maximum rebate together as $4,000. It's not like that the husband will get $4,000 and the wife will get $4,000. No, both of them consider as one unit. And the same rule applies if two friends are buying a property and both of them are first-time home buyers. Yes, they will get together up to $4,000 rebate in the first-time home buyers. But if two friends are buying their property separate as their principal place of residence, each of them can get $4,000 each for their first-time home buyers. And even if sometimes we have a clients that's, for example, the parents are buying a property and they added one of their child for a 1% or 2% owner in the property, and in that case they will get only first-time home buyer rebate for the child who is a first-time home buyer. I'm talking if the parents are not the first-time home buyers. So if the children are getting only 1% interest in the property and they are first-time home buyers, so they will get 1% of $4,000. That is only $40 rebate they will get. And after buying this property, even they are first-time home buyer, unfortunately they lost the opportunity to get more rebate when they are going to buy a new property in the future. And from another perspective, many clients comes to my office and they ask a very specific question which is also relating to first-time home buyers, and they say, oh, we have TSFA accounts opening somewhere, or we have RRSP, and we heard that we can get some money from the RRSP without paying a tax and we can use for the first-time home buyers. I will say that this specific question is not for the lawyers. Most of the lawyers do not have a very clear understanding or knowledge of this kind of question. For the answer of this question, I will always suggest my client to go back to their lender who have their such accounts, or to the financial advisors who suggested them to open this kind of account. So those people are the right professionals who can give answers to those questions. I personally don't like to get involved in those kind of questions where I have no expertise to that. And of course, this is wise of you as well, that you should ask the question to the right professional. If you have any question about the buying of the real estate property, the realtor or is your real professional who can guide you about the location, about the purchase price, about the whereabouts of the property. This is not the lawyer's job. If you are taking a mortgage, you have to go back to your lender or your mortgage broker to ask your question. Your realtor or the lawyer is not the right person to ask those questions. Likewise, about the transfer of the property, to check the title of the property, you have to ask the lawyers, because we are the one who pull up those documents from the land registry office and can give you advice about that. So it's very important that you ask your question to the right professional to get the right answer, because not every professional has answers of all of your questions related to the real estate transaction. I know many of our colleagues, friends, whether they are realtor or mortgage broker or lawyers, they try to accommodate the client. They try to answer every question of their client just to make them comfortable, but it's not wise of them, because mostly they don't know the right answer, or even if they know the right answer, they're not liable for their answer which they gave it to you, because they are not trained for those kind of professions. So again, it's important that you ask the right question to the right professional to get the right answer. So the first time home buyer, there is also nowadays another very common things going on, that when you are buying a property from the builder as a first time home buyer, you will get this. I believe that first time home buyer application is not applicable nowadays in Ontario. You don't need to be first time home buyer to get that 13% credit when you go to a builder to buy a brand new property between a certain period, and that property should be completed in a certain years, that then you will qualify for the 13% rebate, and you don't need to be the first time home buyer for these kind of transactions. And again, if you are a first time home buyer, I will always suggest to you, you can talk to your lawyer and your professional advisor before you start thinking of buying a house. And of course, you have to connect with your realtor, because the starting point is your real estate professional who can guide you through the process of buying the property. But from the lawyer's perspective, the only rebate we can get as a first time home buyer for you from the land transfer tax. And if you're buying property, if you're buying property in Ontario, in Toronto, there's a double land transfer tax. One is provincial land transfer tax, and one is your Toronto land transfer tax. In the Toronto land transfer tax, you will also get a rebate. I think it's a 4,750 kind of rebate you will get towards the Toronto land transfer tax. But for the Ontario land transfer tax, you will get $4,000 rebate. And if you're buying a property in Ontario, you will get both rebates together as the first time home buyers. And again, before I conclude, always remember, once you buy a property in your life, you are not entitled to get a rebate second times. I know many of our professional friends, they call me, and of course, and not only that, I got a call from few of my clients. They say, I sold my last property 5-6 years ago, and I heard if I never owned a property 4 years before I sold my property 4 years before, so I am now entitled for a first time home buyers. No, that is totally wrong. First time home buyers itself is a very specific term, and you can even very simple reading of this term, you can understand that a first time home buyer means that you are buying property first time in your life. That's why you are getting a credit. There is another concept of this first time home buyer which you should understand. If you are buying a property with your spouse, but you are a first time home buyer, but your wife or your husband is not a first time home buyer, and they own the property at the time of your marriage, you will disqualify from the first time home buyer rebate. You will not get a first time home buyer rebate because your husband or your wife owned the property at the time of marriage. But if your spouse sold the property before you get married, with him or with her, and now you are buying a brand new property with your spouse, yes, you can claim first time home buyer rebate for your share of the property. But in this first instance, when your spouse had a property at the time of marriage and now you are buying a property, even if he sold the property after the marriage, unfortunately you will be disqualified for a first time home buyer. I believe you get some information, some clarity on the first time home buyers rebate in Ontario when you're buying a property in Ontario. If you have any further question, if you're any further curious about that, feel free to contact us at 905-502-7474. You can always send us an email at adil@adillaw.ca. Thank you very much for watching Legal Lounge with Adil Law. Hopefully to see you next time. Until then, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.